Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on tamper-resistant prescription forms. During today's webinar, we're going to cover a number of topics. First of all, we're going to talk about the details of the CMS tamper-resistant guidelines, and also the details of Medicaid's new requirements as it relates to security features on prescription forms. We're also going to talk a little bit about understanding the various popular security features that are available for prescription forms. And also, towards the end of our program, we'll be discussing solutions that you can offer and sell to your customers. Let's just spend a few minutes reviewing what's happened to date as it relates to this new legislation. The U.S. Congress included in a funding bill earlier this year a resolution that required security features be included on all prescriptions written for Medicaid patients. CMS then informed the state Medicaid administrations in each individual state that they had to set their requirements for their individual states to meet this resolution. Shortly after that, the state Medicaid directors asked the federal government for clarifications as it related to the resolution to clarify the security features required. Those clarifications then arrived back to the state boards, and they began working on setting up their individual states' requirements. Now, early on, the deadline was October 1st of 2007, but because the federal government did not give the states enough time to comply with this new resolution, they've now moved the date back to April 1st of 2008 to meet one requirement, and then October 1st of 2008 to meet all three requirements of this new resolution. Now, keep in mind that this resolution only affects prescriptions written for Medicaid patients. So, who is required to make changes? Well, first of all, any state which does not currently have mandates in place. The states that currently do have mandates in place are Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Florida, New Jersey, Maine, California, Wyoming, and New York. Since they already have mandates requiring security features, these states do not need to implement new requirements. To date, many of the states have published their requirements, and more, I'm sure, will come soon. We also need your help as we move forward to the implementation date. If you hear about specific requirements in your state, be sure and communicate that to us. We have contacts in all of the 50 state Medicaid boards, but your help is also very valuable to us. So, what are the tamper-resistant requirements, and what do they mean? Let's spend a little time on that this morning. The first requirement is that each prescription form have one or more industry-recognized features designed to prevent unauthorized copying of a completed or blank prescription form. What does this include, this first requirement? Well, certainly avoid pantograph, security backprinting, microprinting, and a reverse RX would all be items that would be included in this first requirement. The second requirement requires that each prescription form have one or more industry-recognized features designed to prevent erasure or modification of information written on the prescription by the prescriber. This requirement would include a pantograph or a basket weave, safety paper, quantity check boxes, and number of prescriptions written on the form indicated in some fashion or form. The third requirement requires that every prescription have one or more industry recognized features designed to prevent the use of counterfeit prescription forms. This includes security backprint, fluorescent fibers, a security list to inform the pharmacist what security features are built into the form, thermochromatic ink, batch numbers, and sequential numbers. Let's spend just a little bit of time understanding the various more popular security features that are available before we move on. So here's a list of those. The void pantograph. Printco currently uses big dot, little dot technology to create a void pantograph. A reverse RX, which kind of works hand in hand with a void pantograph. A microprint signature line. Quantity check boxes. The number of prescriptions written on the form. Security backprint. A listing of security features. And, of course, safety paper, which includes reactivity to solvents and bleaches and fluorescent fibers. Let's take a little closer look at how these security features work with a prescription form. The first one on our list, of course, is a void pantograph. And this is printed on the face of the form. Generally, most of our forms are either printed in reflex blue or green. And what happens when a person tries to photocopy a void pantograph, the word void appears on their photocopy. Now, working hand in hand with that would be, of course, the reverse RX. That would be this area on the prescription form. What happens is if a forger tries to lighten up a photocopy of a form to the point where the void disappears, the reverse RX also disappears. So they kind of work hand in hand. The next item on our list is a microprint signature line. And basically what a microprint signature line is a line that's made up of repetitive words, in this case probably secure or secured prescription, in very small type, could be 1 point, 1/2 point size type. It looks much like a line to the naked eye, but if you put it under a magnifying glass you can see the words. Now if a forger tries to photocopy this, the photocopy will not actually pick up the words, and therefore they'll be blurred or not discernible on the copy. Another item very popular in many of the states are quantity check boxes. And quantity check boxes are a valuable tool in keeping forgers from adding additional quantities to their prescription. So let's say a patient goes in and has a prescription written by the doctor for 10 Oxycontin pills. It would be very easy for that patient to change that 10 to 100. But using the check boxes, when the physician writes out the prescription, the quantity 10 is written, and also the checkbox for 1 to 24 would be checked. In this case, if the written version of 10 is the patient tries to alter that, then the pharmacist will note that the quantity in one area is 100 and the quantity in the checkboxes is 1 through 24. So at that point he would question that. The other helpful tool in trying to combat forgery is some kind of notation on the prescription form that tells how many prescriptions are written on the prescription form. Now this example shows that it requires that only one prescription be written because that's pre-printed on the form. Another version of this can be where we show a line in front of the quantity of the prescriptions where the doctor can actually write the number of prescriptions written on the form. So if the doctor writes 2 prescriptions and writes the number 2, that will keep a patient from adding a 3rd prescription. Another valuable tool as we move forward. Other valuable tools would include backprinting, and there's multiple kinds of backprinting that can be used. This is an illustration of our security list that's printed on the back of our tamper-resistant form. It actually describes what security features are built into this form. And by having this, it tells the pharmacist what to look for when looking for possible forgery. Also included but can't be seen is a security backprint, which is printed in an opaque ink which can be seen by the naked eye but cannot be photocopied. That could be the words security prescription repetitive, or it might include the specific state that it's for. Here's an example of one of our standardized forms for California. California has the most security features of any state in the country at this point. Let me point out a few items that we've already discussed and also items that we haven't discussed in terms of security features. You can see up on the top left-hand corner here a number. This is called a batch number, and the advantage to using a batch number on the form, basically what that number is the order number and the date that the form was ordered. So as a manufacturer, I can track back who ordered this and when, and be able to tell any kind of agency that might need that information. Of course, sequential numbers can be beneficial as well. Many practices sequentially number their forms to track how many forms are given to each physician in the practice or how many prescriptions are being used. In the case where a doctor may be the fraudulent party, this may be an advantage. We already discussed the advantages of quantity checkboxes and how they can help, and we also talked about signature, a microprint signature line as to how that might help. Here's an example of another line that might be used on a prescription form where it allows the doctor to write the number of prescriptions that are written on the form. On this form, you'll notice that the state of California requires that we as the vendor who have been approved in the state of California put their vendor ID number on every form. This allows the state of California to determine which vendor printed these and be able to get additional information about when and how these were printed. So, what are some of the solutions that you can offer your customers as we move forward and move closer to the deadline for meeting these requirements? Well, we have a number of options. First of all, our standard format form, which is available in 1, 2, and actually 3 parts. Our semi-custom form, which is available in 1 and 2 part. We have a number of laser forms that are available either in a stock or an imprinted format. And we also have truly customized forms based on what your specific customer's needs are. Let's talk a little bit about our standard format solution. There's actually 3 different ways that you can order our standard format form. The least expensive way and easiest way is to do it with our online ordering system. We allow up to a maximum of 9 lines of imprint. No format changes are allowed with our online ordering system, and many options are available with this system to incorporate the requirements that your customer has. So what are the advantage of using our online design, proof, and print system? Well, certainly it's the most cost effective. It allows you to create an immediate proof online and email that to your customer. Reorders are very easy using our online system. And certainly this particular solution meets most of the needs of your customers. Some disadvantages of this system is it doesn't allow for logos and changes of the format. So in that particular case, you might look to a couple other solutions that we have in regards to our standard format form. The second solution of our standard format form would allow you to supply us a PDF to be printed. In this particular case, the finished size must be 5.5 by 4.25, and that can be either landscape or portrait. The file must be supplied to us as a press-ready file, 4 up, and all imprinting must be done in black. And our third solution for our standard format form would be for Printco to do the design and typesetting work for you. You would add $25 flat charge to our standard pricing, and this would allow you full design services. This will allow you the maximum amount of flexibility that your customer may require. Another solution would be what we call our semi-custom tamper-resistant form. You can choose the size to be anything up to 5.5 by 8.5. You choose the copy. All of the same security features are available, and prices for this semi-custom form includes all of the typesetting and design charges. Some other options available with our standard and semi-custom forms are you can choose to have the face printed on part 2. Both of our standard and semi-custom forms come with a blank second part. Some of your customers may require printing on the second part. We can certainly provide that at an additional charge. If your customer needs additional back printing on the back of the form, we can offer that. Sequential numbering, and some customers would prefer to have a stapled wraparound cover for their forms. We can provide that service as well. Another growing popular part of this industry are laser forms for those offices that create their prescriptions on laser printers. Our solutions that we have for this include both stock and imprinted versions, and we also do custom laser formats as well to meet your specific customer's needs. Here's an example of our tamper resistant laser form. You can see that it's a upper left hand corner version. It's perforated so that after the prescription is printed, the top left hand corner will be torn out and provided to the patient. This can be sold blank as you see it here, or we can imprint this form with the doctor's information that he requests. Here's another version of a stock form that we make available for prescriptions. This is a portrait style version, meaning it's higher than it is wide, and you'll notice that the prescription form is written on the top left hand corner. A copy of the prescription is printed on the right, and the bottom can be used for printing additional information. If the software that the doctor uses allows it, we also have a 4-up version. And then probably the most flexible version that we have is a sheet that allows the prescription to be printed anywhere on it. There are no perforations. It does have all the security features that our other forms have. This is actually printed on a higher level of security paper, and so it meets all of the needs that would allow for more flexibility. And of course, if none of these options we've discussed prior to now work for your customer, you can choose truly custom forms. We can use higher levels of security papers. We can give you more choices in terms of ink colors. We can create database-driven programs if you have a large hospital, university, any large organization that wants to be able to drive a printed product through a database of some sort. Other options that we make available are the use of base stock to provide solutions to your customers. If your customer wants to print their own prescription form, we can provide a one-part version, a two-part pre-collated, or a CB-only version for them to use in this fashion. As I mentioned earlier, you can use a database-driven program, and we can customize an online ordering system for you to use with your high-volume customers. And again, if none of these solutions work, we can create base stock specifically for your customers' needs. We can warehouse that and print it on an as-needed basis.